What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stochastic here on the Odd Chopper channel, coming to you with another edition of Lindy's Lanes, Lights, and Locks. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Goes a long way for me on this video. Goes a long way for you. That way you become apprised whenever great content is going live here at our little neck of the YouTube woods. Nothing really going for me all that much here yet. Cincinnati ended up on them for a half unit. Interesting stuff. Everybody and their dog was in the over of that game on twitter.com. Found myself away from it, so that was a lean early on in that session. But again, just 6 games here. Nothing out of hand, just 3 units on the betting card here for a Monday. Felt good. Felt good kind of taking it easy here. Sometimes you don't want to be forcing it. You don't just want to have a pick for every single game, although that's what we do here. I try to talk you through the process of how I come to conclusions about things I lean on. Those are generally not bets or things that I don't have the numbers for yet, and they can become bets later. Likes, those are things that the numbers stand out to me enough that you could put a small play on it, small to moderate play on it. But a lock, those are my favorites on the board. I've got 2 on this 15 gamer we have going for Tuesday. We got producer Jacob hanging out here. He hasn't seen humans all day because, the work from home thing. I know how that feels. It's not great, but one thing that I know, no matter what, that you could take advantage of, and you could be happy if you're working by yourself, if you're out in an office building, no matter what it is, it's free stuff. And there's a lot of it going on over at BetMGM, specifically 2 free months to come hang out with a community that will never leave you feeling lonely, that will only be positive and encouraging. That is everybody here in the Lindy Discord, because if they're not out with them, although I'm sarcastic, I'm kind of mean from time to time, but in a fun way. We got 2 free months of that. 2 free months over the premium Discord when you check out BetMGM for the first time. But that's not all. You'll also get up to $1,000 in bonus bets back if your first bet loses over there. So take advantage of it. And hey, come hang out with a cool community, only if you're 21 and over. And if you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. We'll talk about it a bit later here in the program, but lots to get to, lots of plays, lots of pitching, lots of crazy stuff on this 15 gamer here on Tuesday. Producer Jacob, let's get to the picks. The Cincinnati Reds taking on the Baltimore Orioles yet again in Camden here, and Tyler Wells on the mound, somebody that we've been backing quite a bit here. Although this is a tough spot going up against a resurgent Cincinnati team, I think we were early to the party and saying, hey, this is a different lineup with McClain, India, Steer, De La Cruz sitting at the top of it. Joey Votto going in there against righties. It's been very interesting to watch, but Tyler Wells has been good. The tough part here is he's going to be facing some power lefties, and even Jake Fraley's been hitting for power enough for us here. So the righty, big 6'8" guy, 28-year-old, doesn't throw crazy heat by any means, 93, 94 miles an hour on the fastball. And when it gets hit a long ways, and he has an 11.5% barrel percentage. Although he has a 3.54 expected ERA and a 26.3% K rate, which looks nifty, I do get worried that when bat gets put on ball in this spot, we could see it go a long ways. So regardless of him being somebody we've backed a lot of late, I'm a little bit nervous. I'm very nervous for Andrew Abbott here as well. Although he's got a 23.9% K rate here. He is a lefty, which is definitely great for the power profile. This is an xFIP that is not sustainable. Anything over 5, my God. 3.39 expected ERA with a 1.14 ERA, that is not sustainable. But I'm not all that gung-ho on a 15-game slate to attack 2 pitchers who have generally treated us pretty well so far this season. So although, just like yesterday, I'm going to lean on the over of this one. We've got an over of 8.5 sitting here. Probably not going to make the card. I'm just going to be paying attention to these money lines as they shift throughout the day. You're looking at a pretty efficient line right now, but I could see myself persuaded if the public starts getting on Cincinnati, jumping to Baltimore, or the inverse, looking for that value, just like we ended up on Cincinnati there. Although, of course, they just gave up 2 runs here to start off this one, 2-1. Looks like the public was right. Looks like the lean might be right here. The over looking good early there on Monday. I think Tuesday, it's currently the best available bet. Pretty interesting spot as we head to Pittsburgh next with Rich Hill on the mound. They're going to be hosting the Padres with Yu Darvish taking the bump, and oh boy, have you watched Yu Darvish pitch lately? Because it has been an unenjoyable experience. Unless you're a Dodgers fan, then you probably really like it. Yu Darvish given up 4 runs in 3 straight, at least 4 in 3 straight, 6 against Tampa Bay. They can do that from time to time. Did have a start in Coors and in San Francisco, a team that's generally been doing all right against righties. Well, they have some lefty power is what I'm getting at, but still, you're not feeling great if you're a Yu Darvish truther, backer, things of that nature, just because it's been a down year by pretty much every metric by his standards. Now, he's still bright red across the board over on Baseball Savant in terms of K rate, 25.8%, in terms of expected slugging, 374. That usually leads you to believe that the BABIP might be something that's a little bit out of control. But as I'm going through everything, seems as though everything's normal, nothing crazy to see here. So I'm not sure what exactly to expect out of him so far this season. I mean, it's just been a disappointing year for these Padres in general, but Rich Hill on the other side, come on. Come on. Are we seriously going to do this to ourselves? Yeah, I think we probably are. This is just a Padres team that they just haven't been getting after righty pitching the same way. A 95 WRC plus. They do have an 11.6% walk rate, but a lot of that, the reason they lead the league in that statistic is they have Fernando Tatis leading off however many times. Generally speaking, lefties pretty cautious when it comes to him because he's kind of good at the hitting of baseballs. What, a 900 OPS again, 286 average, 15 homers, 36 ribbies in a very limited sample size because he got a suspension and he hasn't been in, so he's suspended, but then now he's not suspended and now he's out there hitting the baseball and whatever else. How about Pittsburgh plus 1.5? I'm a disgusting person. I have to talk really fast because I don't want you to see what I'm looking at here. Hoo-hoo, magic. Oh, next game, please. No line out for this one, so it's going to be pretty quick work. I apologize. But Kevin Gausman, you'll probably expect him to be a heavy favorite no matter what San Francisco decides to do here. Now, a couple of these spots, we can assume what these opener and long reliever type roles can look like. It looks like we're going to get Ryan Walker, who's been the guy who's been an opening pitcher a lot of these Tuesdays, but I think what happens is they're going to have to roll it into Alex Wood or Sean Manaea. These are the kind of guys that from the lefty side, this is just kind of the new thing that San Francisco is trying to do. You start off with a righty reliever, you bring in the lefty long reliever, try to get people in or out of that game, get the matchups that you want, try to make it more favorable, or I don't know, San Francisco can also just overthink things a little bit from time to time. Although they're 44-34 here on the season, definitely been another overachieving team in this NL West, nowhere near to the extent of Arizona. I mean, Arizona's on another planet when it comes to that, but NL West, somehow the Padres, and they're not even in the top 3. Oh my God, all these futures bettors with the Padres, I tell you what, can't be fun. But it's not going to be fun to bet this game in any way, shape, or form. As we look at this, assuming that we get Kevin Gausman out there, he's really good at throwing baseballs. A 3.10 ERA, 1.16 whip across the board. Everything's great. The ground ball rate has continued to slide up, even as the Ks have gone down the last couple of starts. But I'm not concerned. We had 13-11 Ks against Houston and Milwaukee to start off the month of June. Kevin Gausman's doing just fine. So I do expect this line to be egregious. Toronto minus 1.5. It's going to be a lean because God forbid I lean on the San Francisco side without knowing exactly what they're doing. Lots to be determined with this one. But as always, you know what to do. Hit me up on Twitter at Eric Lindquist. Check out what I got going on or ask me questions. Can't even say English right now, but I can type out my thoughts. That's important. Miami going to Fenway up here next. Reigning NL Cy Young winner, Sandy Alcantara, going up against Garrett Whitlock. And why am I laughing a little bit? Well, it's been a down year for Sandy, to say the very, very, very least. Despite this Miami team having a phenomenal season, 45-34. They have Luis Raz hitting 400. They've got Jorge Soler, who hits the ball very high, very far, and, is just overall a good-looking, handsome individual. You're looking at a Miami team that could use his services from last season and just flip-flop the years. I think they'd be a lot happier. A 5.08 ERA, 4.22 expected ERA, 365 ex-Wobacon coming off of a 316 season last year. The sinker is just not... It's been bad, friends. It's been really, really bad. And he's still hitting 98, 99 on the gun. He can still ramp it up. The velocity is sitting almost identical to where it's at last year, 0.2 miles per hour down. That doesn't really move the needle for me. The changeup is still really good with a 34.4% whiff percentage. I'm not quite understanding what's going on and why he's been failing at the rate he has been. All I know is that there are some lefty bats who can create some major problems on that Boston side, the likes of Devers, Yoshida, Duran. There's some pieces there. And obviously they'll get they did bring Bobby Dahl back up to take one at bat last game. That was really nice of them to start off that game and do the whole thing. Made a pinch running appearance, I believe, too, the game before it. They're looking for a trade partner, but it's hard to, get value out of a guy if you're not going to play him at this level. So why they brought him back up, I don't really know. Still waiting for Mondesi. Verdugo's been out for a little bit. Maybe that's part of it. But either way, Tristan Casas, yet another lefty who they were expecting big things out of. You got to keep riding the wave. You got to try to make that a thing. But either way, I'm on the Boston side here. Garrett Whitlock on the other side. This is a Miami team that, sure, they get the upgrade of getting out of Miami and into one of the most hitter-friendly parks in all of baseball for run creation, that being Fenway. I believe second in baseball this season in 2023. A little bit surprising to me, but Ken Fenway's always played up for a little bit of power. Garrett Whitlock, 276 expected batting average. That's not good. 452 expected slugging, not good either. 21% K rate, not ideal. So why am I backing him? It's purely the number, my friends. This is just one of those things where it grades out. And you have Boston coming in as a dog against a pitcher who's struggling with a lot of lefties who profile well. And I get minus 104 over at FanDuel Sportsbook on the money line. It's too good to pass up. I thought there might be an arbitrage opportunity that showed up at some point in time, considering it's minus 104 on Boston, minus 105 on DraftKings Sportsbook, but I'm taking the discount to back the home team, half a unit. We move along our merry way. We got the Mets in Milwaukee and one pitcher that Julio Teheran, I had no idea you had it in you, pal, but he's pitching really, really good. Looking like the beginning of his Brave stint, Julio Teheran, going up against David Peterson, who's definitely had a down year as well. But let's start with Teheran with the sinker. Ground ball rate, pretty much non-existent, not mattering, not quite understanding it. 42.9% ground ball rate is actually way up from last year, I suppose, but a 29.6% fly ball rate. Doesn't matter. 3.29 expected ERA. Happy learned how to pitch or something. I really don't get it. 1.53 ERA. I've tried to attack this dude a couple of times. I think I'm done. Hasn't been for anything where we locked in anything. It's just been like, hey, maybe this is a spot. No. Teheran has just been nails. And this is a Mets team that, my dear sweet Sally, how do you possibly go out of your way to back them here? I'm just not going to. 103 WRC plus against righties. That's definitely a bump up. You've got a 154 ISO, but overall, Teheran's just been good, and David Peterson on the other side has been bad. I'm a little bit surprised to be seeing the Mets here as favorites. I thought this was going to grade out really, really nicely here, but I do think there might be an overplay here. Again, that's simply what the model is throwing out here. If I had to generically just blindly look at the two starting pitchers and then what I know about these bullpens at this given time, I would be backing the Brewers pretty blindly here. But again, I think we could be running into a spot where we get a better number going into tomorrow. We have minus 135 on the Mets over at DraftKings Sports, but minus 144 over at FanDuel. I think if we can get better than plus 130 on the Brewers, this becomes like an insta-click. Not like a lock insta-click, but put it on the betting card on a 15-game slate insta-click. We have a lot of other plays that grade out better, though. So over 9, it's a lean simply because David Peterson with his 351 xWOBA with 483 expected slugging. Nothing is all that great or awesome. Nearly a 10% barrel percentage. That does not bode well, even against a weak Brewers team. The only issue there is they're really bad against lefties. It's been a little bit of a problem. So, again, 79 WRC plus against lefties, horrendous. David Peterson on the mound. Don't want to go out of my way to force this one, but the over of 9 is the lean. Pay attention to that Brewers money line, though. To Atlanta we go. We got Hotlanta. They were firing against Cincinnati over the weekend. Then, starting off here against the Twins, let's do a little live update, shall we? I know Joey Gallo went yard, hit the ball long and far. Bottom 4, 1-0 Twinkies. Come on, get it done, gentlemen. Either way, better spot here. You got Joe Ryan going up against Bryce Elder, and Joe Ryan, our ace, 247 xWOBA, 318 expected slugging, 4.1% walk rate. However, this is a very, very tough ask. A 115 WRC plus do the Atlanta Braves have against righty pitching, a 203 ISO that leads all of baseball, and a lot of that is Matt Olson is a god walking amongst men. I don't know who I would have to answer. If you told me I had to play Matt Olson or Freddie Freeman at first base on a baseball team that I just theoretically started right now. I don't know who I would choose right now. They're both having ridiculous seasons, maybe even a tiny bit of a leg up because Matt Olson, Gold Glover, but I mean, they are just on another planet, those two. Matt Olson, always a little bit more for power. Freddie Freeman, more of your, ex-Woba darling, where he's sitting more around 400 there. I'm telling you, for me, it just makes all the sense and all the land to be avoiding betting against the Atlanta Braves in these kind of spots. But Bryce Elder, not exactly good himself, 43% hard hit percentage, 305 xWOBA, 250 expected batting average, and he's sub 21% K rate. So that always begs the question, does Joey Gallo end up being somebody who shows up there? Well, maybe. He's given up 5 homers to lefties in a smaller sample size this season, 43 innings pitched, 47 to righties, only 3 homers given up. So you would normally expect a little bit of that platoon advantage. Well, there's this Alex Kirilloff fellow who has not treated me well this season. I have bet his home run props more than I would like to admit. And we only have 4 on the season, so I can tell you one thing. I'm not profitable on him, but they have been such long numbers on him that I have to take a look. It's in our book, Reading Rainbow. Alex Kirilloff, 60 out of 60 raw power score over on Fangraphs. Can we get down with our bad selves one time, Alex? I think we need to. Alex Kirilloff to go yard. If you're getting better than plus 550, it's on the card against Elder. The Elder wand from Harry Potter gets snapped in that. Hopefully he can snap this bad streak himself. We got the Houston Astros heading into St. Louis, an interesting spot. We got Jordan Montgomery, pair of southpaws actually. Jordan Montgomery on the mound on one side, Framber Valdez on the other, and well, Framber Valdez is the better pitcher. I don't think there's going to be anybody who's going out of their way to argue that one, and yet I'm a little bit surprised by this line, mainly because this is a lot of respect for a St. Louis team that I don't know if you've watched them lately. I've watched them lately. They do have one bullpen arm, looking at Mr. Hicks, but overall, this team has been a disaster. They have Paul Goldschmidt, Wilson Contreras, Nolan Gorman, Dylan Carlson, who's been pretty good, Lars Nootbaugh, you've got Tommy Edman, Brendan Donovan, Nolan Arenado, and you can't win baseball games. Wow. What are we doing here? A lot of it is starting pitching, but Jordan Montgomery, one of the guys that I actually feel better about on the mound, 35.8% hard hit percentage, 311 xWOBA. But for whatever reason, this lineup just isn't creating runs. And generally, they've been lefty murderers over the course of their entire history, it would seem, since Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado got there. But a 102 WRC plus is barely above league average, just a 161 ISO. This speaks to kind of the hot and cold streaks of Nolan Arenado. Paul Goldschmidt continues to be a god, 390 xWOBA, 283 expected batting average, 536 expected slugging. Last season, by far the best WRC plus in baseball against lefty pitching. So that's cool. Jordan Walker to 55% hard hit percentage. I'm finding it very hard to believe that this team is as bad as what they've been this year, but numbers don't lie, and that is why we are targeting their starting pitching, their bullpen, because we get Framber Valdez on the mound, ground ball extraordinaire, talk about it all the time, 26.7% K rate. Not up there with the Striders of the world, but he's as consistent, has as good of a floor as you can ask for, a 2.27 ERA, 3.72 expected ERA, so negative regression could be in store. But it's hard to imagine considering a 58.1% ground ball rate that has room for improvement. Yeah, you heard me. 70.4% in 2021, 67.4% in 2022. Not sure if this is something he's doing on purpose, but he has been getting hit up hard from time to time, and the ball is starting to launch a little bit higher. But you get by some of these main righties, and it is just easy sledding against the lefties. Now, there shouldn't be too many in there in that lineup, considering they do have Edman, who you can, hit from both sides as well. You get Dylan Carlson, switch hitter as well, Jordan Walker, Nolan Arenado, Paul Goldschmidt. Talking myself into a lot of righties in that St. Louis lineup, and yet Houston's a team we haven't backed a whole hell of a lot here of late because without Yordan Alvarez, the lineup looks very much diminished. But we're backing them with Yordan Alvarez and this bullpen. Yes, great combination. They get a day of rest after a crazy little Dodgers series that they found the better of. Houston Astros to get it done in St. Louis. The struggling Cardinals keep struggling. We go to Houston. My friends, BetMGM, they're the sponsor of the program, but really what they are is they are a great third option of a sports book for you. I know you have DraftKings. I know you have FanDuel more than likely too. if you're looking to broaden your horizons and do what we preach here, which is odd shopping, finding the best line every single day, add BetMGM to the portfolio. Now, there's a number of reasons to do it, but two of them are the great offers that they have with them. You get 2 months of the premium Discord. That's my betting card, Ben Roz's betting card, Isaiah, who just hits every NASCAR outright, it would seem of late. Just insane stuff going on in that premium Discord. We've had a hot month of June, as anybody can attest below. It's been good stuff. If you want to jump in, ride the wave with us, you're going to get 2 free months when you sign up at BetMGM. But not only that, when you go to that link below and click on it, sign up at BetMGM, you're also going to get up to $1,000 in bonus bets back if your first bet loses. Yes, if you put $50 into BetMGM and your first bet loses, you're going to get $50 back in bonus bets. So on and so forth, all the way up to 1K, my friends. That's a great deal, great incentive. But the other incentive, the major thing for me is I want you signed up taking advantage of these offers at sportsbooks that they are handing out to you, so that you have multiple sports books to shop lines from, whether it's Bet365 or Caesars. I don't care. Get the best line every single day, Sunday through Saturday. We're talking all of the days, all the live long day, because over 162 game MLB season, it adds up. So don't be silly. Get yourself over to BetMGM and all these other books down in the video description box below. Get yourself the opportunity to shop for the best lines every single day. Improve your game, improve your betting game instantly just by signing up as many of these spots as you can. Only if you're 21 and over, and if you have a gambling problem, please call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Alrighty, y'all, halfway point. Let's get back to the picks. No odds for the Tigers and the Rangers, and part of it is that I don't know what to expect out of Matt Manning in his debut here, and I don't think the books do either. This could be a stale line situation here. I'm waiting to see. It could also be very much inflated towards Texas, which is kind of what I'm expecting. But Matt Manning, I liked what we saw out of him in spring training. He ends up getting a foot injury, 73 pitches that he just threw scoreless innings in AAA Toledo. Watched some of his AAA stuff, tried to get a feel for what we've got here, because this is a pitcher that had a lot of promise coming into the bigs, didn't really put it all together right from the get-go, had a really tough time, like most Detroit Tigers, it seems like, in their early campaigns. But Matt Manning is somebody that I think has a lot of talent. I do like his repertoire. Had 2 starts this season. I'm not reading into anything from them. Looking more at some of these AAA starts, had some decent outings, some decent stuff, struck out 6 in that last time out in just 73 pitches. So will that translate against Texas, that are just righty killers? 117 WRC plus over the course of this season, the second best mark against righties in baseball. Time will tell, friends. Maybe just don't throw to Seager. Give him one of those. Don't hit me. That'd be nice. Martin Perez, though, on the other side, it's not like he's very good. 287 expected batting average, 15.3% K rate, and the ground ball rate is no longer existent for him either. That sinker, that used to be the calling card, used to induce some ground balls, is getting some weak contact at 37.6% hard hit percentage and just a 6.7% barrel percentage. But there are at least some righties who can make you pay $50 every day. My mom said Spencer Torkelson will hit the ball far, and he will not if it's his rookie year, but now it's his sophomore. That was the most annoying bit I've ever done in my entire life. I have to run. Texas -1.5, just a lean. We have a lot to figure out with this one. Really no idea where this line lands. The Cubs get back from London, eh? Put another shrimp on the barbie. I don't really know. But either way, we've got Ranger Suarez going here for the Philadelphia Phillies. And on the other side, the line did just drop, so we do have that one on the other side. It's going to be questionable what we could be getting from the Chicago Cubs side, but it's expected to be Jameson Taillon. Could it be the last start for Jameson Taillon? That's very, very possible. Although, he's only given up, 4 earned in 3 of his last 5? 6.71 ERA. Apparently that's acceptable now in Cubby land. 1.55 whip. He's had a terrible, awful, no good, very bad year. But Ranger Suarez on the other side, I do think that there is some righty pop that we want to be looking at going up against this southpaw, whether it's Christopher Morel, whether it's Seiya Suzuki. I think he's definitely somebody in play, but coming off of a nice little London stint for him, and that ballpark played like a little miniature place. He came off a double dong there on the 24th back on Saturday. Good stuff, but good plate discipline overall. Did like seeing 3 walks from him on Sunday. That bodes well for him when he's seeing the ball well. I think Ian Happ is really locked in. It's going to be a Ian Happ situation. Liam Hemsworth? What am I trying to say? Ian Happ is definitely the guy that I think we want to star circle. Positive regression in store for him. Only 7 homers here for the switch hitter. You're going to get the platoon no matter what with him. I do like him more from the right side. 354 xwOBA. Can he turn a corner for us? That would be great, but I'm going to be paying attention to a lot of these righties here from the Cubs side. So this is like an all-encompassing, I want to target Ranger Suarez, and that wind looks like it's going to be blowing out. So I'm going to try to bet this one really quickly. Yeah, pay close attention, friends. Pay close attention. Windfinder.com. It's a lot of fun. You should use it. But Ian Happ to home run. That's my lean for now. We have now reached a lock. It's about damn time. It's Brady Singer and the Kansas City Royals. And who are they hosting? The Cleveland Guardians. And our dude, Gavin Williams. Now, I wanted to break down a little bit of what we saw from his first start. I'm going to be doing that on Lindy's Locks Update. Yeah, Lindy's Locks Update. It's a video I put out on my Twitter now every single day. Usually halfway through the day before Locks shows up here. I'm going to probably put this one out around 2, 3 o'clock tomorrow Pacific time. So 5, 6 o'clock for you East Coast folk. But Gavin Williams, it was not the most spectacular outing you could possibly run into, but there was some BABIP, 4 hits only to result in 4 runs, 3 walks. The walks are definitely going to be something we got to figure out here with this fastball, Gavin Williams. But I think there were some positives to draw out of the start, but the best thing going here is the matchup against Kansas City. There's really no doubt about it. They have some professional hitters, whether it's Bobby Witt, Sal Perez, used to be MJ Sweet Melendez, but it's been a little bit worse of late for him here. Think, though, that we still want to be attacking them, and we're going to do so because Brady Singer's on the other side, and Brady Singer is awful. That's what I think about that, and really, I'll break it down for you. 55.1% hard hit percentage, 368 xwOBA, 290 expected batting average. These are some of the league worst numbers for a starting pitcher. Sub 20% strikeout rate. Primary pitch just being a sinker that's getting obliviated. Yeah, obliviated. 529 expected slugging. The changeup not changing. 581 expected slugging. Lots of problems here from one Brady Singer. I feel bad for him. He's somebody that I thought had some stuff. Team USA guy looked really good in the World Baseball Classic. Maybe him. There's something to mine out of there. Don't pitch in that thing if you're the Minnesota Twins. Please don't. Although it was really fun to watch and I enjoyed it and I would totally do it again. But Brady Singer's not my pitcher, so it is what it is. He's definitely not my pitcher this time around here too. So yes, Cleveland, not exactly the best themselves against righties, an 89 WRC plus. That's not ideal, not fantastic. It's still better than Kansas City. League worst against righties, 82 WRC plus. We're going to target them with a young arm that I think there is still a lot of hope for. Gavin Williams, one start does not a pitcher make, and hey, we still got the win of that lock. So here you go. Gavin Williams running it back. Money line. God forbid this one loses. Minus 142. It's my favorite play on the board. Connor Seabold pitching against the Los Angeles Dodgers. We got Connor Seabold in Coors Field against the Los Angeles Dodgers. Just gonna say it's not projecting out very well for him. Now, Clay Kershaw on the other side. Pretty fascinating stuff if you go through his history at Coors Field. He's had 48 games in his career against the Rockies. He's 11-8, though, with a 4.82 ERA and 26 starts at Coors Field. That's the kind of effect you get from Coors Field, so I expect runs. How about you? I was going to do We've Got Spirit, and then I totally biffed the landing on that, but you know what? I'm not going back. Connor Seabold, 16.7% K rate, 339 xwOBA, giving up lots of expected slugging there. 454, 9% barrel percentage, not missing bats, and wow. JD Martinez, Mookie Betts, David Peralta, Freddie Freeman, Will Smith. How about those 5? James Outman, if we could get any kind of the form we had at the beginning of the season, you get Jason Hayward in there, Miguel Vargas. I mean, this is like breaking my model again. So on Saturday, I went to the premium Discord. I told all the people, I have never seen anything happen like what I was projecting. I was projecting the Los Angeles Angels to score 9 runs. It didn't even make sense because that's not how you project baseball, but that's what happened. I'm projecting the Dodgers for around that here in this spot as well against Connor Siebold. So it's just insane, the numbers that are popping off of the screen, and it is borderline lock, but over 12. If this were 12 and a half, I think you could probably tread lightly. If it were 11 and a half, it would be a lock, but at 12, we're going to definitely fire this up. This might be something I add a little bit more to tomorrow based on what I'm looking at, but this is just, it's probably the only spot Kershaw's not a massive favorite to go completely nuts here. In Coors, can it slow down Kershaw in his 2.27 or 2.72 ERA? Unbelievable season he's having? Probably not because of this Rockies lineup, but the Dodgers think they can do a lot of the heavy lifting the way the Angels did. Just slightly, 25 runs? That seems good from Saturday. Speaking of those Angels, still lost the series. We've got the White Sox going to be facing off against them. It's Michael Kopech, resurgent Michael Kopech, against Shohei Ohtani. Splitter. Every time I see him, it's just incredible stuff. But Michael Kopech on the other side, 229 expected batting average, up to a 26.7% K rate. And these Angels, it's definitely a difficult spot. This is a homer-prone park. You got to be very careful of those kind of things. But so far, seems like he's just going to be sliding along, being all right. 4.06 ERA, 1.29 whip. The velocity seems to be there. I get a little bit concerned that he's been pitching as deep into games as what he's done the last two, but part of that, 6 and 3 walks. That's a little bit strange, considering he has just 42 walks over the course of 15 games started this season. I do expect that number to start coming down, under 3 walks per game. Now, the 6 and the 3, that definitely inflates those numbers for sure, but you got to get it figured out in that regard. Michael Kopech, 12% walk rate, that surely ain't it. But I mean, Shohei Ohtani, he's just so incredible. There's no way. There's no way, right? Oh yeah, no, we're going to be locking in under. Look at that, my friends. Look at that. We're getting a little diversion, trying to throw you off. Under 8, though, that is an absolute stone cold lock. I think these teams, similar to what we looked at the other night when it was Kershaw and Detmer spinning off against each other, I put this in kind of that stratosphere where I do think Ohtani is going to have his way against a White Sox lineup with just an 84 WRC plus and 155 ISO against righties on the season. He has been lights out. He is the reigning and should be winning another MVP here. God forbid he ends up in Dodger blue or the league is in a lot of trouble. But coming off of 12 strikeouts, 7 innings strong, just 1 earned against the Dodgers, much easier spot here at home against the White Sox. Shut it down for both these starters. Under 8, lock it in, friends. Thought about putting this on the card. It's almost every single time. I kind of like a cowardly lion when it comes to the Oakland Athletics, but there's for good reason. They suck. Paul Blackburn on the mound, though. He's their best starting pitcher by a landslide going up against Johnny Brito. Love the stuff we're seeing from Blackburn, though. 29.5% hard hit percentage, 285 xWOBA, and I still do not believe in anything that I am seeing from Billy McKinney. He has a 48.9% hard hit percentage through 45 batted ball events and a 638 expected slugging. There's no way. He's leading this team in expected slugging by a landslide. This is so silly. Him and Jake Bauers, get out of here with your weak sauce. There's no way that this can continue. Paul Blackburn, please shut them down. But Johnny Brito, good thing it's an Oakland matchup here on the other side because he's had a rough season. 16.7% K rate, 358 xWOBA. Another young arm that just doesn't seem to be panning out. He's only 25. It is his debut season here in the bigs, but a 5.40 expected ERA is not what they were hoping for from their AAA darling. So yeah, it's Oakland lean, but I should really put this on the card like now. Oakland money line, leanish like-ish lean. Is what it is. Don't expect runs either. Woo, Brian Woo. Oh, God, I got to do the D2 thing every single time. What a great movie. It's Knucklepuck time. We've got Brian Woo and the Seattle Mariners going up against the Nationals. Jake Irvin expected on the mound here. 344 xWOBA, 17.4% K rate. He falls in those bucket of pitchers that are probably just happy to be pitching in Seattle. It plays neutral for homers. I broke all of that down on Lindy's Locks update here for you today over on my Twitters, at Eric Lindquist, of course. But it's also the hardest park to create runs in, by far the best park for pitchers to be walking into day in, day out. And that speaks to what I think Brian Woo is capable of. The guy's a 33.8% K rate now through 4 starts. What? These are the kind of pitchers that when they show up in a park like T-Mobile Park, you just back them on Ks repeatedly. You take these inflated numbers. Now, we might have missed the boat after the White Sox one where we did back them there. I am looking at getting onto this K ladder in some capacity because you look at this Washington team, they do not strike out a whole hell of a lot against righties. 18.5%. It's actually league best against them. But I think his stuff transcends any kind of worries that we have for what this number could be. He has a 5.09 ERA, but a 2.46 expected ERA. And the K rate, as I said before, through the roof at AAA, it has transcended anything you could have hoped for. This slider is alive. The four-seamer is really, really good. I'm telling you, across the board, everything that I'm seeing for him tells me that these strikeouts are for real. Now, the sinker's got to figure out some of it shit, but for the most part, again, the slider four-seamer, what a great combination he has to be getting whiffs. Up to 8? Can we get to 8? I need to see the numbers, of course. That's what always is going to win the day, but I expect this K prop to open at 5.5, and I'm going to be taking the over of it if it's inside of minus 140. Want to throw that out there first. Now, if we see something inflated past that, we got to have a conversation, but I could be laddering this one up to 8Ks. I could be combining it with the money line if you're looking for something to kind of couple it with. I think this is a really good young pitcher. Speaking of good pitching, we go out with a bang, but with no number out yet. Is that real? Still no numbers out. That makes no sense to me because it is totally expected to be Zach Gallen, our boy, my boy, from the Arizona Diamondbacks against Taj Bradley. They're going to be down there in Arizona having some fun. It's a decent pitch to park in, but once again, this Arizona team is just finding ways to knock up righties. A 19.2% K rate. Second best in baseball, coming off of talking about Washington. Interesting. But a 110 WRC plus, that's drastically different. They have a guy named Corbin Carroll, who not just rookie of the year for me right now, I would have him second or maybe even first in MVP voting in the NL. He's been out freaking rageous. How about speed with 23 stolen bases? How about 290, 16 homers, 41 ribbies, 927 OPS? What an absolute stud. But it's a very tough spot against Taj Bradley, who I do expect to find some success against other Diamondbacks, that's for sure. And again, anybody can have success in a one-game sample size against anybody. But on the other side, we're assuming that it's going to be Zach Gallen. I mean, that's the way that the starts line up. He's got a 26.4% K rate, and the 254 expected batting average is starting to trail up to a place where I'm not exactly stoked. But Tampa Bay, get them out of a good pitcher's park. Again, they're defying logic this season, no doubt about it. Tampa Bay is very terrifying. League best 127 WRC plus. They're still without Brandon Lau. Just saying. Doesn't really matter. They haven't really missed him here this season. Brandon Lau was kind of having a bad year by his standards over the course of this year, hitting under 200 with 9 homers, whatever. Either way, I am looking at the Arizona money line as the lean right now because I do find Gallen to be the preferable pitcher, even though Taj Bradley absolutely loved this stuff. I think for a year long, you would be doing a lot worse than be having him on your dynasty year-long teams. But again, we're talking betting, friends, and betting alone. I think Arizona might be the side with value. And that does it for another edition of Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. So you know what to do. Go to that comment section below. Let me know your favorite plays on Tuesday's slate. Lots of things up in the air. Lots of things that are pending to change. Don't forget to go follow me at Twitter, at Eric Lindquist, EricLindquist. Look at that. I can spell my own name. Who knew? Check out BetMGM. That's great stuff as well. I'm going to do Lindy's Locks update on that Twitter. Once again, just go follow me there. Going to be great stuff. Thank you, producer Jacob. Yet another one in the books. Good thing we only have 15 games coming back at us on Wednesday. Until then, friends, I'm Eric Lindquist. Best of luck in the MLB streets on Tuesday.